Some coincidences make you pause. These make you question whether reality is freelancing without supervision. Let's start with one that feels less like bad luck and more like a warning label. Welcome back to Brain Munchies, the show that feeds your curiosity one fact at a time. The wedding that kept dropping bodies. The marriage of Prince Amadeo of Savoy and Maria Vittoria dal Pozzo is often labeled one of the most cursed royal weddings ever, and once you hear what happened, it's hard to argue. It unraveled in real time. As the wedding procession began its walk to the church, everything looked normal, until the man leading the group collapsed from heat exhaustion and passed right there in the street. No delays, no cancellation, they simply replaced him and kept walking. Then the palace gates wouldn't open. Why? Because the gatekeeper had also just passed. At this point, most people would call it off. They did not. After the ceremony, the celebration continued, straight into more disaster. An official involved in the marriage paperwork suddenly collapsed and passed. Moments later, another man slipped beneath the wedding carriage and was taken out. Still not finished. On the return trip, a nobleman riding alongside the carriage was dragged under the wheels and crushed. By nightfall, what began as a royal wedding had quietly turned into a traveling obituary. The most unlikely interview ever recorded. Street interviews usually go one of two ways: awkward or boring. This one accidentally broke reality. In 2015, ahead of the Merseyside derby between Liverpool and Everton, a BBC reporter was asking random pedestrians if they remembered a specific match from 1967. One elderly man smiled and said he remembered it well, because he played in it, not as a fan, not as a kid in the stands. He was the actual goalkeeper from the match being discussed. The reporter didn't find a witness, he found the answer key. The movie that almost had a fatal outcome. In the early 2000s, Jackie Chan was attached to a movie called Nosebleed, a film that was being developed about a window cleaner working at the World Trade Center. The plot involved uncovering a terrorist attack. Filming was scheduled to begin on exactly September 11th, 2001, at the actual towers. But the script wasn't finished. Production stalled. The crew packed up. Hours later, history happened. The delay, something that usually destroys movie projects, may have saved lives instead. The prison that accidentally invented a doppelganger. In 1903, a man named Will West was arrested and sent to a federal prison in Kansas. According to their records, he was already there. Same name, same measurements, same face. At first, they assumed fraud. Then they checked the cell next door. There was another man who looked nearly identical, with the same name, already serving time. Two men, same prison, same identity. This moment helped convince law enforcement that measuring bodies wasn't enough, and fingerprints might be a better idea. The king who tried to outsmart a date. King Louis XVI was warned as a child to avoid the 21st day of each month. He believed it. For years, he avoided major decisions on that date. Then everything collapsed. When he attempted to escape during a revolution, he chose the one day he'd spent his entire life fearing. The escape failed. Exactly 1 year later, again on the 21st, his monarchy officially ended. Sometimes superstition doesn't protect you. Sometimes it waits. The trumpets that announce chaos. Two ancient trumpets were found inside King Tut's tomb and stored in a museum for decades. In 1939, a trumpet was broadcast live on the radio. Months later, World War II began. In 1967, it was played again. Days later, the Six-Day War erupted. In 1990, it was played once more. The Gulf War followed. In 2011, it sounded again, shortly before the Egyptian Revolution. There's no scientific link, of course, but after enough coincidences stack up, people stop calling it random and start calling it cursed. The father he ate dinner with. Steve Jobs spent years searching for his biological family. What he didn't know was that he'd already found his father, by accident. Jobs regularly ate at a small restaurant owned by a Syrian man, unaware that the owner was his biological father. The truth wasn't discovered until years later. By then, Jobs was already famous, and his father chose never to reach out, afraid of being seen as someone chasing money. They never spoke. The bloodline that refused to break. A school research project uncovered something no one expected. Nearly every US president could be traced back to the same medieval royal ancestor. The reason no one noticed sooner? Most genealogists ignored maternal lines. Once those were included, the pattern couldn't be unseen. History, it turns out, loves recycling characters. The balloon that insulted an emperor. For his coronation, Napoleon commissioned a massive ceremonial balloon shaped like a crown. It drifted away, and eventually landed on the tomb of one of history's most hated emperors. The symbolism was not appreciated. The balloon maker was fired, and balloons were permanently banned from future plans. Even rulers don't like being compared to villains. The man who wouldn't drown. Arthur John Priest survived more shipwrecks than logic allows. Ship collisions, explosions, torpedoes, and the Titanic. 6 maritime disasters. Still survived. After the final sinking, he retired, presumably because luck has a usage limit. If these coincidences made your brain itch a little, good. That's kind of the point, because what you just watched is part 2, and if you haven't seen part 1, you're missing half the puzzle. That's where this whole spiral started. So when this video ends, go check it out. If you enjoyed chewing on these facts, hit like, subscribe, and keep your brain hungry. Until next time, stay curious and keep chewing on facts.